What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into his video, I want to give a shout out to the brother Brendan Olson for donating to the channel once again with a $10 donation via the Cash App. He says, the best political and NBA YouTuber out here. Well, I don't know about that, but I try to do the best I can on these videos and try to be as accurate and as informative as possible. But salute to you once again, long-time subscriber. So Brendan asked a question, and his question was, what if Chris Webber and Allen Iverson had teamed up earlier with this Philadelphia 76ers? Could they have won a championship? And this is the thing. They did team up in real life. I think he signed I think it was traded, actually. I think it was traded, was the 2005-06 season? Let me look that up right quick. I believe it was the 2004-05 season. Yeah, it was February 2005. It was a 6-player deal. And he traded Sixers. And anyway, by that point in time, Chris Webber was not the same guy. He wasn't the same guy. Wasn't the same player. After his microfracture surgery in 2003, he was no longer as explosive and didn't have the same speed. So subsequently, he became more of a role player, I guess that's the best way to put it. He was a role player, and he struggled offensively. Matter of fact, his stint with the Sixers was a disappointment. He started off pretty good, but the second half of the season, his first year was bad. Well, the half that he played with the Sixers, he started off okay, but then faded down the stretch, and then his full 2005-06 season, I believe, was terrible. And then after that, he was just a journeyman. He wasn't the same guy. Even Allen Iverson at this point in time, although he was still putting up the same numbers, I tend to think AI suffered a little slippage after 2007, I would say. So they were both in a transitionary period of their careers. But what if Chris Webber signed as a free agent back in 2001, before the injuries? That's when his contract ended. But in real life, he signed as a free agent with the Kings. He re-signed with them because he was traded there in 99. I think he signed something like a 6-year, $120 million deal. So his first year, he made about $12 million. So this is how I got to look at this. So I tend to think that if Chris Webber signed as a free agent in 2001, then Derek Coleman doesn't go there. He made $8 million his first season with the Sixers. So I look at the roster before I did this video. I tend to think that obviously Derek Coleman, they would have had no need for him because Chris Webber would have been a major upgrade from Derek Coleman. I also think that Aaron McKee might get traded, or somebody doesn't get signed. Somebody that they signed in free agency doesn't get signed so they can afford a Chris Webber. Anyway, they're gonna have to do some type of roster. They're gonna have to do some type of roster downgrade outside of Allen Iverson. I'm thinking they keep Mutombo. I'm thinking it might end up being Mutombo leaves. I don't know, but I'm just gonna go with Mutombo stays, and they don't sign Derek Coleman, and they downsize their roster outside of those two, and be able to sign Weber. Whatever the case may be, Allen Iverson never played with the Sixers, at least, a superstar player, their secondary star. That's why a lot of us romanticize that 2001 run to the finals, because it was really just Allen Iverson. I mean, Mutombo was a defensive monster in his twilight years, of course, but offensively, he wasn't really a great player. The Sixers were a great defensive team. I think Aaron McKee was Sixth Man of the Year in 2001, but offensively, it was just AI. But if you get Chris Webber on the team, Chris Webber, in his prime years, was an elite defender, an elite passer, and an elite scorer. So that can't do nothing but help AI. Now, at this point in time, I got to admit, for some reason around this time, 2004, 5, 6, I wasn't watching basketball like I used to, right? So I was under this impression, a false one, that AI really didn't warm up to Weber. They didn't really want to play with him. I don't know why I got that impression. Maybe it was because someone like Skip Bayless may have said something, or whoever the hell was on TV back then. They gave me the impression that AI just didn't really want to play with him. But that's not the case. That's not true at all. He actually was ecstatic to play with Weber, thinking it was going to be the same Weber in real life, but it wasn't. Look, if they were able to keep Chris Webber and Mutombo, which I think would work, because Mutombo doesn't really, he doesn't really necessarily need the basketball offensively. He can get a lot of his points off of dunks and putbacks and alley-oops and things of that nature. So I don't really think that would be much of a issue, him in the low post, Weber more in the high post and mid-range area as far as scoring. He can help get Mutombo easy buckets. You got an elite passer in him. You got a very good passer in Allen Iverson. So I can't help but think that that's going to make other guys better offensively, just the presence of those two men. Chris Webber said that AI was the best teammate he ever played with. Can they win a championship? Why not? I mean, if we're talking about 2001, 2002, right, that season in the East, they could damn sure well get in the finals. If AI and the Sixers got to the finals without Chris Webber, they can sure as hell get to the finals with him. This is before that Pistons team emerged. This is before the Pacers, which was a team ruined by the Mouse at the Palace, became a force. That's the year the Nets began their first of two final appearances. I mean, if the then New Jersey Nets with Jay Kidd and Richard Jefferson and Kenyon Martin, if that's your main competition, I don't really see why, if Chris Webber and Allen Iverson stay healthy, I don't see why they can't win 60 games, honestly. Now, could they beat Shaq and Kobe? I don't know, man. I still tend to think that they would falter to the Lakers, man. I mean, you do have a master coach in Larry Brown. Now, I think Larry Brown's last year was 2002, 2003 with the Sixers, right? Before he went to Detroit. I wonder if they got to the finals in 2002, does the relationship with Allen Iverson and Larry Brown get better? I would think so. Whatever. Maybe so many things might be altered. But I don't know if they could beat the Lakers even still. I think it would be a more competitive series. But, look, we all know that Mutombo couldn't stop that version of Shaq. Although Shaq was starting to have some issues, starting to come into training camp out of shape. And at that point in time, he was right around 30 years old. This is when he started slipping a bit. But still, Shaq was pretty close to his prime. Kobe was getting into his best years. So we know nobody's going to really stop Kobe. Although the Sixers were, team-wise, a great defensive team. I think the Sixers had Roger Bell, though. Let me see. I'm trying to remember the years. Yeah, they had Roger Bell. So that team had, in real life, Iverson, Eric Snow, Mutombo, Coleman, who were moving in this situation, Matt Harpering. Matt Harpering was 25. He was drafted by the Magic. That was his first year in Philly. So maybe they don't have Matt Harpering. Now I think about it. Maybe they don't sign Matt Harpering. They don't sign Derek Coleman. They sign Weber and maybe some other guys they traded and for lesser prospects released and just to make room for a Weber trade. I don't know. But anyway, they do have Roger Bell. But still, not going to stop Kobe. But interestingly, though, in this scenario, I think if the Sixers were to have any shot at beating the Lakers, it would have to be Chris Webber. Chris Webber would have to be the X factor. Now, if this is the Chris Webber in his prime that's averaging 25, 10 or 11, 4 or 5 assists. One of the things about Chris Webber that I do remember was as great as he was oftentimes in the regular season, sometimes he did not assert himself in certain games. And I thought sometimes in playoff games, it was a different era, but sometimes he settled a little bit too much for mid-range jump shots and long mid-range jump shots at that. I think if he was aggressive, a little bit more aggressive offensively, trying to get the Lakers in foul trouble, drawing double teams, getting other guys involved, being a patroller defensively, trying to help with Mutombo to cut down any drives to the basket by some of the other guys. The Lakers were kind of athletic. And slowing down Shaq, if they can, maybe they can pull off a miracle. Maybe. But I think with a healthy Iverson and Chris Webber, they can definitely get to NBA Finals in a couple of years. Matter of fact, I would say if Chris Webber stays healthy, never suffers that injury, I think a better shot at winning a championship will be 2003 and especially 2004. Because I think that's about their window. If they can stay healthy and build on chemistry, build on experience together, playing together, as Shaq began to break down, as some of the, dynamic between Kobe and Shaq changed, as the Lakers became more of a outside-in team, then I think if they stayed hungry, the Sixers could win a championship. So that's kind of how I look at it. I see multiple final appearances if healthy and maybe a championship, more likely their second and third years together. But that's just how I look at it. Tell me what you guys think.